Well, thank you so much, Chris Kirwa, for coming on board this discussion.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Let's talk.
All right, and there we go. Now, of course, come on, we know you. You know you as this events guru, media strategist, and all that. And I know you've been really hit in as much as I've seen you on some other discussion saying that you already knew that this pandemic was coming here with us as early as December last year.
Yes, obviously, because you're in events, sometimes it involves a lot of research and trying to keep abreast with current affairs, as they call it. So obviously, by the time Corona was breaking in China, by January, then we were actually observing it. And thanks to a friend of mine called George, who kept on telling me, this thing is coming and I think we need to be careful. So in the process of researching, then it started hitting us, this thing, if it gets outside the boundaries of China, the same thing that is happening in Wuhan will happen in several other countries. And considering now the world is a village. So the interconnectivity, thanks to flights, thanks to, the efficient transport systems, you can board a train in London and find yourself in Milan, in Italy. So obviously the spread, like I think the CS Health, Kagwe Mutai said, the spread is done by human beings, not anything else. So it's about how we try and, interconnect and socialize with each other. And we are the vehicle of this disease. So we saw it coming, and we can't say that we now knew what we need to do and prepare for it, because it's not like it's something that has ever happened before. So we were also caught flat-footed in terms of what to do, but not flat-footed in terms of the information of its impact.
All right, so I'm really interested. I mean, at what point did you just stall all your events that you as a company?
We didn't stall them; they were stalled by clients.
Yeah, they were stalled by clients. That's actually the word. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
They were stalled by clients, but in a business that we have an interest in, a friend of ours runs a club called Golden Eye, so we also do some work for them. And there now the decision was made by the same friend and said, now we need to close to be able to keep our workers safe and also the patrons. But on our side, obviously, sometimes it's not even directly the events that you have gotten yourself as an agency, but an event that another event manager had gotten and had co-opted you, because that's how we work. When you get one event, you co-opt other people. So you find when we guys are working, we are involving like 10 other agencies. And so one agency missing work means 10 missed. And you can imagine the ripple effect if all of us now don't have jobs.
True. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you agree that this pandemic is something that really shifts the way we will be doing business going forward?
Definitely. There will be no business as usual, because the level of hygienes, you see, before 9/11, or let's go back all the way to in the 70s. In the airline industry, the kind of security measures that you are put in place and you have to go through now in 2020 or 10 years ago is not the same with 30 years ago. So based on the hijackings that used to happen a lot of planes, where people will board a plane and commandeer it and land it somewhere, then you have a whole hostage negotiation, blah, blah, blah. If you look at it now, there are no hijacking happening. But why? Because they put some crazy stringent measures to ensure it's not even you boarding the plane with a weapon, but it's actually profiling you before you board the plane, and probably turn you away before you become a danger to the passenger. So the same thing will happen. You will have a lot of the SHE companies, which is safety, health, and environment. The companies that are in charge of safety in companies being more stringent, and then there will be a lot of there'll be a lot of resources pumped into health. And part of those resources is you have to be safe, to be able to be allowed to be in the middle of it, to be part of a group of people. So in events, there's something called experiential. Experiential is where you gather people and they experience the brand in various ways. It can be through entertainment, it can be through sampling, it can be through just a seminar and people are speaking about this brand. It can be a concert, it can be a seminar. Now, can you imagine those measures that will be put in place? So I see a reduction in numbers in terms of attendance. I see the cost going up in terms of safety. Probably alcohol and food will no longer be getting the budgets they've been getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, interestingly. So, I mean, are we having being the CEO of Kate and Chris Ltd company? Are we having any new normals that you're doing? Because I know you employ lots of people you walk around with in the events. I know it's an intense business. Are there new normals that you're looking into? Cushion yourself as we are remaining all hopeful to flatten the curve.
Everybody is thinking of something to do, not only in events industry. So, but then what Corona has done is to equalize all of us in a way. I mean, it's frozen almost 90% of the industry. So any new normal that we guys will come up with will need to be aligned with the new normal of everybody else. Mm-hmm. So, and then there need to be a lot of civic awareness to drive people to start appreciating the new way of probably hosting a concert. Instead of 10,000 people, you have 2,000, and then the other 8,000 are watching from somewhere. So there is a lot of that. Of course, the online business will peak a lot. But because it was, digital marketing was not the priority. I mean, the kind of budgets put on above the line advertising in terms of radio, TV, billboards was more than digital. But now I think we will see a lot of brands deciding now digital is the way to go. And so we are aligning ourselves to see whether we can be part of that.
Yeah, surely, because I was coming to because you're a social media strategist. Because and this you've seen, it has opened really the horizons of the online spaces and the virtual things have gone online. People are using Zoom. They're doing whatever they can in their spaces. Now that the world is connected and the internet has erased boundaries between countries.
Yeah, obviously the entire world, like I said, we have to be in sync. We whatever you do here. Now, first and foremost, the standards will need to go very high. Mm-hmm. Because, when you are hosting a concert in Kapsabet, for example, you might overlook some things because you're thinking, it's just Kapsabet. It's just Kisumundogo. It's Kitale. It's Taita Taveta. It's Wajir. But now, irrespective of where you're hosting the event and what you're doing, it is a global audience that is watching it. Mm-hmm. And if the standards are not up to what they feel like, they will switch off. And now the world being a global village as it is, the kid in Wajir and the kid in Spring Valley or Runda or Karen are watching the same thing and they are researching on the same thing just because they have internet. So they might not be experiencing that kind of lifestyle, but they know the lifestyle exists and they will expect to see it and be part of it online. So the level of standards have to go up in production. So anybody that has just been doing a bit of a shoddy job because you have a small crowd that
they need to up their game.
Everybody will need to up their game because now you will be transmitting, and once you go online, quality will be 100%, not necessarily quantity.
Yeah, true, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, one thing I've been asking all I've brought on board here is just to condense like a point of what these all things to do with Corona has taught them.
That one day you can wake up and the life the way you used to know it can have vanished, and therefore you cannot over rely on anything. You cannot think now that you are steady in a certain way, then you just relax. You need to be on. We are at war. You need to be. You see, when the soldiers are at war, or marketers, especially marketing departments of brands, they never sleep. The research departments, they never sleep because they know if they sleep, the competitor will come. Now, this has come and shut down everybody, meaning, I mean, can you imagine one day we wake up and probably something like the mobile money systems that we have is not working for a month? How will that be? Can we one day wake up and find just a few hours of darkness because some wire somewhere had tripped and we guys were all over? Suppose one day we wake up and there's no power for a month. Suppose we wake up and global warming is so real that it freezes everything. In fact, we don't even have water to generate electricity. Suppose we wake up and, as they call it, the Titanic plate has shifted, and then Africa is divided into two. We find Kenya looking like Madagascar somewhere.
In the ocean.
As in anything, if there's something Rona has taught us, it's that anything can happen that can actually freeze our lives. And so we should not sit and think it's normal. It's never normal. Yeah, that's the same way the guys that run, when you see an ambulance and the medics, they always know the dangers of not observing proper hygiene. But we used to ignore them for a very long time. And the only time we paid attention a bit is when you've gone to hospital, so you wash your hands. You're told to sterilize. You're told you can't enter that room because you infect the patient, and you're complaining. You're thinking, why not? I need to see them. Right now, hospital standards for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that is really spot on. Now, one thing, Chris, in as much as we're talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and all that, of course, you have to bring some positive vibes around. And of course, I know this being a platform that is the target audience is young people. I know, I mean, your story is one of those that inspires many of us out here to, continue. I mean, summoning the willpower to go beyond the skies. And most of these people out here, they know your story from KBC, Metro TV. I've watched some of your interviews. What are these lessons you've learned as you've climbed up the ladder to those TBT pictures you're sharing with some huge camera? How has it been climbing up?
I think three things. One is the world owes you nothing completely. The world owes you nothing completely. So any little network that you get, treasure it. Every day you learn something new. Sometimes when you want to go to Mombasa, you might find yourself heading to a Jir because that's the only route that can connect you all the way to Mombasa. So sometimes you might be forced to follow paths that are not necessarily taking you towards your dream, but because it's necessary for you to travel that road, and then at some point turn and head to your dream. So what I mean by that is that sometimes you'll find yourself doing a lot of things that are not necessarily in line with what you are talented to do, but you have to do them as you wait for the opportunity. And in the process, learn everything, because everything is interlinked at some point. So in events industry, for example, if I'm hosting a conference of doctors, there's no harm in me being very close to, for example, E+, Red Cross, which I am. And the reason why I'm very close to those guys is because I knew when I'm hosting an event and there is a disaster, I need to be in line and plan accordingly so that I make sure that my audience and everybody else that is in our events is safe. So I'll always listen to them. I'll always hang with them. I'll always involve them in anything that I do. So those are the learnings. I worked in KBC, for example, and ABC, I learned about productions. I used to do stage designs for programs like Vioja Mahakamani and all that stuff. It was heavy work. I hated it, by the way, but I used to do it. But right now, when we are constructing the design of a concert stage, I understand. I do it with TV in mind. So our events, us as Kate Chris, we do them with, what do you call it? We do it with television in mind. So when you're doing an event with TV in mind, this means everything has to be high standard. So all those things that I accumulatively have made me a better person, have made me more humble, have made me appreciate people more and know that it's a teamwork and not just a one-off between me being the superstar. Everybody has to be part of the process.
Yes, absolutely. One thing I really loved from your bio, I read a line that you never keep time. You're always ahead of time. How does that speak to how you run your affairs and even just generally in life?
I realized for a very long time that any events, and you will always know, most of the time you find the even events at home. We say we wake up at 10, rather we need to be somewhere at 10, and people don't keep time. Then those who keep time then get very frustrated. So you arrange to meet with someone, especially the days that there were no phones, and you arrive at the rendezvous position and you wait for whoever you're waiting for. If it's a girl, the girl is turning up 2 hours later, you're there, you're frustrated. So lack of timekeeping in our social lives then ended up in our professional lives, and we think it's okay. So when people from Western world, from Europe, from US, they jet in here, so they really get frustrated because we don't keep time. So we decided we are not going to keep time. We'll always be ahead of time. So then we shocked them. So we shock Europe. They say we meet at 8, at 7 o'clock we are ready to rock and roll. So it's for us, it's you decide what you want to do. As we decided, we'll not keep time. Yeah, we'll always be ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. One thing we all agree, Chris, is the fact that I always tell this to young people: not fearing failure. I mean, is that something that really shaped as you've marched ahead with how you've scaled Pole Pole? Not fearing failure, going in on a Samanga Roju.
Unaweza enda Roju alafu ingie. Let me say it in English. You can decide to be brave and stupid and enter a lion's den and get swallowed. So sometimes bravery or rohoju, as they say, has to be calculated. Just don't work a rohoju and go. You need to calculate. You need to do a risk assessment and say, when I'm heading, what might happen? And if it happens, how do I survive it? So it's good to have rohoju, bravery, and you hit your chest and say we are going forward, but also do a bit of risk assessment, have mitigation measures to be able to survive it. There's no need of being rohoju, then you don't survive it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we come to the tail end of these, one thing that is always they say this is the microwave generation. They want things happening super fast, like quick things. Somebody wants to drive a Mercedes Benz, somebody wants to sleep, wake up in the morning, he can go to Dubai and shop at Harrods and everything. Now with all these digital disruption, is this something that really should be ingrained in young people, that all these things, they take time, and the old ways of of scaling the heights of success is still those ways you build up brick by brick?
We need to be real with the young people and stop telling them that succeeding, everybody that has succeeded because of hard work. The truth is, there are people who have succeeded because they stole. There are people who've gotten what they have through corrupt means. So what we need to say is that is not the way. Because you can have it, but you'll spend your entire lifetime trying to defend it, and you can even lose it all or lose your life while trying to defend it. So there is that way, which we say no. The hardest way now is working hard, working smart, and knowing that if you get it very quickly, it will either vanish very quickly or you will vanish you yourself very quickly. Okay, so try and be in a position where you do not need to look behind your back as to who is following you, because you know very well what you own, how you accumulated it is not legit. Yeah, so that's the best thing I can say.
Yeah, I think that is well spot on. Just like a winding statement to young people, just a word going forward.
Tap into the resourcefulness of the modern world connectivity. where you have, you know, sometimes people write to me and tell me, Kirwa, I want to be successful like you. How can I start my events? I need to buy sound. What kind of sound do you recommend? Both. There is something called internet. There is something called Google, deep in Kapsabet, deep in Wajir, like Tok, Mandera, Kisumundogo, Shababi, Nakuru, Kwaronda. As in, you can get access internet at a cyber cafe, at a friend's, or on your phone.
True.
Research. And people who have succeeded don't shy away from posting how they manage to be where they are. Read about these people in books, because, okay, the current generation doesn't read much of the books. So the books are also digital now. So probably you can read digital books. But for heaven's sake, before you come and ask a question, research first. And then now come and use the research you've gotten to now ask me, what do you think? Because spoon feeding you will not help you. And that's why even a kid grows and reaches a point they are not being spoon fed and they are sent to school, and it's not the mother or the father who does the exams for them.
Yeah.
They read, they research and do the exams themselves. Now, you want to be the kid. You want me to remove a spoon, hold the plate, put the...
do everything for you.
Put, in your beep. And
yeah,
then now
beep.
feed you.
Yeah,
no
that
way.
one. Yeah, it can't happen.
That beep mentality has to end. You need to research. You need to do your own study, and then come now and say, I have researched, I've seen. Now in the position that I'm in, what is it that I can do and achieve? So I used to research. And in those days, I didn't have anything to research on. So I bought...
There was no, by the way, there
was no internet, there was no all these things. So what I did is to buy a DSTV decoder. And then I will watch all those shows. And then when I'm watching Diamond League, I'm watching Oscars, Olympics, World Cup, which I don't watch football, but I will watch how it's being done. I will imagine how was it being done. And if I was to do it, I mean, up to today, can you imagine? All our stadiums don't have LED signage inside. We are still putting banners in a match.
What?
How long have we had that? Some of our counties don't even have a stadium. So what are we talking about? So if you're going to sit there and expect a government, if you're an athlete, for example, and I'm speaking from guys from CAPS, because that's where I come from, CAPS being CAPSabet. If you're waiting to be able to get everything that you need, you will not get it. So it's up to you. You need to research and then grow to a level where by now you bring it back to the community and say, where you came from, kama ni Jereber, kama ni Lesos, Ainapko, you go now to Ainapko and then you say, yes, and then set it up. Set the modern thing there. Do not go and set the modern, whatever you've learned in Kapsabet Town or Eldoret. Go set it in the center. You know what we used to call sender?
Sender, ila vijana wanatulia.
Yeah, sender unakula mandazi zingine inatosha hivi. Go set it up there.
Yeah.
That will be my take, my winding up take, yeah.
That really so kind of you, and thank you so much for making time, Chris, and stopping by and sharing some insights which I believe will be very resourceful to many of us out here.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.